Thousands of emergency personnel are working in the Pacific Palisades area right now.
Which has been so devastated, as you know, and that's where ABC 7 News reporter J.R. Stone is live for us tonight. J.R., what is the feeling out there today as you walk around and talk with folks?
Well, a feeling of hope and optimism. I do want to talk about some of the conditions first, Dan and Amma, because we heard all about the wind and some of those wind predictions. Right now in Pacific Palisades, we're not dealing with that strong wind, at least in our location, a slight breeze at that. But the damage has already been done to so many of these locations, and you can see that debris just scattered every which way. When we drove around through some of the neighborhoods in this area, it was home after home. The damage is just so extensive when you're on the ground and you can see burned out houses for as far as you can see at that. But we talk about that hope and optimism, and that is certainly alive. Burned out cars and property all across Pacific Palisades, but crews now actively working and doing what they can to bring the area back.
Right now, it doesn't look like any of us are going to be able to go back for, I would say, at least a year, to be completely honest with you, because you look at the devastation there and how many buildings were destroyed, and it would be almost impossible to go back and have a good quality of life.
I spoke with Sarah Silver as I was standing near the main strip in Pacific Palisades. A burned out building on one side of me, California National Guard across the street. The mere image of me standing near the building was eye-opening to Sarah.
It's really hard to see that. I feel like the worst part of my days are the mornings, because you wake up and you just kind of reality sets in and you realize that, you know, it wasn't just a dream.
Emotions running high, yes. Sarah was renting this home that survived the fires here in the Palisades, but she lost her nearby home that she owned. This video shows that home burning last week.
And all of that heat is pushing across. Look at that, look at that.
You can see it was a total loss. But even with all of this rubble and destruction, there is hope among those who live here who say this is their community.
We really are a huge family. And that's what breaks my heart the most, is it's not just me going through this, all of us are going through this.
And optimism among those like Sarah Silver, whose words speak for that special community.
Honestly, I think the main thing that keeps coming up is just I'm so overwhelmed and I'm in shock still, and I'm very sad, and I'm also hopeful. Every day I'm feeling more hopeful despite all of the chaos that's going in all of our heads. I do feel that we're going to end up okay.
And we certainly hope so. Back out here live in Pacific Palisades, you can see the total destruction of this building directly behind me. This is a full city block. And on the other side of this building, it was actually a bank. You'd never know from just looking at it at this angle. On the other side, you can see some of the burned out ATMs that are out here. Just talking with Sarah, she said, you know, she's got an 11-year-old daughter who has now been through a global pandemic and this catastrophic fire, but she is proud of her for staying so strong. Reporting live in Pacific Palisades, J.R. Stone, ABC 7 News.
Yeah, J.R., we are seeing so much strength from so many people. And, you know, as reporters, we're used to asking people in very difficult situations about what's going on with them and their reactions. But this is not easy at all. People have lost everything. Tell us a little bit about your encounters and your conversations with people you're meeting down there.
Yeah, great question there, Dan. At the hotel, and we're out in Glendale, so we're around an hour or so from this location because of some of the closed roads and the traffic just to get out here. But I was up early, and people kept coming up to me before we went out, and they said, are you evacuated too? And I said, no, I'm down here telling people's stories and showing what it looks like out here. And there was one man who told me, and he lives in Altadena, he said that he watched as those embers came closer and closer. And he said at one point, he said, I got to get my parents out of here. They're both 80 years old. He woke them up. The evacuation didn't come for another hour. He said, had he waited for that evacuation, it might have been a different scenario. He thinks his home burned before that evacuation happened, but they were able to get out safe. They're in that hotel where we're staying, and said they don't know what's next, but they're just happy that they got out.
Well, thank goodness they got out, and so many did. And it's day by day now for them. JR, thanks very much.